Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to unpack a specific feeling that I think a lot of us have experienced but maybe haven't put a name to.
Hmm.
It's that moment on a business trip. Maybe it's day 4, maybe day 5, when the novelty of room service wears off.
I know this moment.
The hotel room starts to feel a little claustrophobic and you realize you have another 3 weeks to go.
It's the relocation wall.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very, very real phenomenon. It's that point where the gloss of travel just fades and the sheer logistics of trying to live a normal life kicks in.
Exactly. You're done with the beige wallpaper. You're so sick of eating club sandwiches alone in the lobby, and you just want to be able to wash your socks without it costing, I don't know, $20.
And that is precisely why today's deep dive is so relevant. We're looking at a stack of sources that suggest the whole hospitality model is shifting to solve that exact problem.
We're not just talking about nicer hotels here, are we?
No, not at all. We're talking about a fundamental restructuring of how we relocate, how we work abroad, and, how we blend those two things together.
The blended life. I saw that in the notes. And to anchor this, we're looking at all this through the lens of the experts at moveandstay.com.
Right.
For those who might not know, MoveStay has been this quiet giant in the space for over 25 years.
And that context is so crucial. I mean, they aren't some startup that just appeared yesterday. They've been connecting professionals, corporate teams, you name it, with extended stay solutions. So service departments, offices.
All across the Asia-Pacific region.
All across APAC, yeah. Since the dot-com boom, we've seen it all.
So they've watched the trends evolve firsthand, from those frantic, short business trips of the early 2000s to this new era of slow travel and digital nomads.
Where people need a home. They don't just need a bed.
Exactly. And the specific case study Move and Stay flagged for us today is the Onyx Hospitality Group.
And specifically, their aggressive and, frankly, pretty innovative expansion of a brand called Shama.
Shama. Okay, so the mission for today is to figure out how this brand is redefining the service department from just a temporary place to crash.
Into a lifestyle enabler.
Right. And why this matters for anyone listening who's thinking of moving or working in, say, Hong Kong or Thailand or anywhere in Southeast Asia. Because looking at this, it feels less like a hotel strategy and more like a sociology experiment.
It essentially is. I mean, if you look at Onyx's strategy, they aren't just building rooms. They are trying to engineer a solution to the isolation that so many long-term travelers feel.
So it all comes down to this core philosophy they're pushing, right? Live your blended life.
That's the one.
Live your blended life. My knee-jerk reaction to corporate slogans is usually a little bit of skepticism. It sounds like something you'd see on a yoga mat.
I get that. But let's unpack it because it actually translates to brick and mortar. Think about how business travel used to be.
Yeah.
It was so binary. You were either on the clock, working, or you were off the clock, basically just waiting to work again. Shama's campaign, which is built on this theme of freedom to explore, is arguing that modern professionals just don't operate like that anymore.
Right. We answer emails at dinner. We take a break at 2 p.m. to go check out a local market. The lines are completely blurred.
Precisely. So the infrastructure needs to support that fluidity.
Yeah.
And the first way they do that is with their location strategy.
Okay.
If you look at where they're placing these properties, especially the new ones in Hong Kong and China, they aren't just dropping them in the middle of some sterile financial district.
Which is a huge deal. I remember staying in a business hotel once. It was right next to a convention center. Great for the meeting, but at 6 p.m.
A ghost town.
A complete ghost town. You couldn't find a coffee, let alone a vibe.
That's the tourist bubble problem. Shama is deliberately targeting vibrant residential areas. The goal is to drop the guest right into a 15-minute city.
So you walk out the door and you're not surrounded by empty office towers?
No, you're next to the local grocery store, the neighborhood cafe, the subway stop that locals actually use. It's about feeling embedded immediately.
So you're bypassing the whole tourist phase and going straight to temporary local.
That's the goal. It's about removing the friction of acclimation. If you're moving to Hong Kong for a 2-month project, you don't want to spend the first 3 weeks just figuring out where to buy toothpaste.
You want to be part of the fabric of the city on day one.
Exactly.
But, location is just the hardware. The part of the research that really caught my eye and what I think Move and Stay users are really looking for was the software, the social engineering bit.
Yes. The Shama Social Club.
Right. Because the sources all note that the #1 complaint for long-term travelers isn't the thread count of the sheets, it's loneliness.
It's the silent epidemic of the expat. You can have a beautiful apartment, a great view, but if you have nobody to share that with, it gets bleak fast. Shama realized the biggest differentiator they could offer wasn't better furniture, it was community.
So they created this Shama social club, and they have some very specific names for what they do. I have to read these out. One of them is Exploration.
Exploration.
Yeah.
It's a portmanteau, obviously, but the intent is to encourage guests to get out and actually see the city, often together.
So it's not just the concierge handing you a map and saying, good luck.
No, it's facilitated. It's guided neighborhood walks, trips to hidden gems. It just lowers the barrier to entry for exploration. It's much easier to go see a temple if you're with a small group of people who are in the exact same boat as you.
Okay, and then there's workshopping, which I assume isn't just staring at a whiteboard in a conference room.
No, it's about skill building. Could be professional development, could be a creative workshop. It's acknowledging that just because you're traveling doesn't mean your personal growth has to just stop.
And my personal favorite, food venture.
Of course.
I mean, if you're in Asia, Hong Kong, Thailand, China food is the language.
Yeah, right.
But food venture seems to solve a very specific anxiety, which is dining alone.
The table for one, dread. It's so real. Food Venture creates this safe, social container to experience local culture. You aren't forcing conversation in a sterile lobby. You're bonding over dumplings. It's a natural icebreaker.
It really bridges that gap. You know, Airbnb gives you that local feel, but it can be super isolating.
Oh, completely. You're just in someone's random condo.
And hotels give you service, but they can feel so impersonal. This social club idea seems to try and hack the best of both.
That's a great way to put it. But to pull it off, you need the right physical space.
Yeah.
And that brings us to how Onyx is segmenting the brand.
Right, the tiers. Because I saw Shama Lux, which sounds expensive, Shama and then Shama Hub. What's the strategic difference there?
It's a classic segmentation strategy, really, capturing different budget levels and psychographics. Shama Lux is your upper upscale. Think luxury, high-end finishes, prime locations.
Yeah, okay.
Shama is the core brand standard upscale, very reliable. But Shama Hub is the one that's the real disruptor.
Yeah, that's the one that stood out to me too.
It is. Shama Hub is the upper mid-scale segment, but it's the most innovative in terms of its design. It's built specifically for high social interaction.
How so? Does it have thinner walls?
No, thankfully not. It's about how they allocate the square footage. In a traditional hotel, the lobby is for passing through. In a Shama Hub-like, the new ones at Metro South in Hong Kong or Kentang in Hangzhou, the focus is on the communal spaces.
The communal hub areas and business cabins? It sounds like something from an airline.
It's a similar concept privacy within a public space. Think of them as semi-private pods or nooks for the modern remote worker. If you're living there for a month, you don't want to work from your bed every day.
And you definitely don't want to be that person on a confidential Zoom call in a coffee shop with the barista grinding beans in the background.
Exactly. Shama Hub integrates that workspace right into the building. It's built for the laptop class. And by encouraging residents to come down to these hubs to work, you create that campus feel. You see the same faces. That's how organic community forms, proximity and repetition.
So we have the philosophy, we have the tiers. Let's talk about where this is actually happening. The sources mention a pretty aggressive expansion plan from Onyx.
Very aggressive. Onyx is clearly doubling down on the Asia-Pacific region. And they're starting by, fortifying their fortress in Hong Kong.
And Hong Kong is already such a competitive market for this stuff.
It is. But demand is returning. And the nature of that demand is changing. A key property to watch is Shama Island North. This is a collaboration with the Tai Hung Fei Group.
And what makes that one special is the mixed-use aspect, right?
Correct. It features a mix of standard hotel rooms and serviced apartments in the same building. That offers incredible flexibility.
Why does that matter to, say, the average move-and-stay user?
Well, think about corporate teams. Maybe you have a consultant flying in for 3 days. They can take a hotel room. The project manager's there for 3 months. They take an apartment.
But they're in the same building.
Exactly. Using the same gym, having breakfast in the same spot. It simplifies logistics and creates a unified team environment.
That's super efficient. But looking beyond Hong Kong, the roadmap for Southeast Asia is where the growth story gets really interesting. The sources highlight plans for Malaysia, Thailand, and Laos.
Laos is the one that jumped out at me, too. Vientiane isn't usually the first stop for a major international hospitality expansion.
No, you usually hear Singapore or Tokyo first. So why Laos?
It shows they're betting on the growth of the entire Mekong region. As infrastructure improves, like that new high-speed rail connecting China to Laos, business travel there is increasing. And right now, There's a serious lack of international standard serviced apartments.
So Shama is moving in to fill that vacuum. First mover advantage.
Exactly. If you're a multinational sending an engineer to Vientiane for a rail project, where do you put them? A local guest house might not cut it, and a luxury resort is too expensive and isolated. Shama fills that professional living gap.
And Thailand makes sense, of course, given Onyx's background.
Yes, that's home turf for them. But seeing them push the Shama Hub concept into these new markets is what's key. They aren't just building luxury towers. They're building accessible, community-driven hubs for the modern workforce.
It really circles back to what we started with. I mean, moveandstay.com has been serving this demographic for 25 years. And for a long time, the options were just limited. It's interesting to see a big player like Onyx finally catching up.
It's a maturation of the market.
Yeah.
10 years ago, if you were sent to Kuala Lumpur for work, you were put in a 5-star hotel. Great for a week, but terrible for a month. Now the demand is for living.
Right. So let's play devil's advocate for a second. We can talk about social clubs and business cabins all day. That's the sizzle. But at the end of the day, if I'm staying somewhere for 3 months, the stake matters, the apartment itself.
Absolutely. And this is where the serviced apartment model really shines over the Airbnb model. The sources emphasize that despite all the cool branding, Shama offers fully functional homes. We're talking spacious accommodations for solo travelers, for extended families, the works.
And the kitchen. I always say the kitchen is the deal breaker.
It has to be. You cannot eat out 3 meals a day for a month without going crazy or broke. Having a proper kitchen, a separate living area, laundry. That's what makes it a home.
But the kicker is the service level. The notes mention 24-hour hotel-level care services.
Correct. And this is the critical distinction for the move-and-stay demographic. You have the privacy of an apartment, but you have the safety net of a front desk, housekeeping, and security.
Which is huge. If the AC breaks in your Airbnb at 2 a.m., you're texting a host who might be on another continent. Here, you just call maintenance.
Exactly. And for corporate clients, that reliability is non-negotiable. They need duty of care. They need to know their employee is safe and that problems will be solved instantly.
So it sits perfectly in the middle, not as isolated as a private rental, not as cramped as a hotel.
It's the sweet spot. And by adding that community layer on top with the social club, they're trying to solve the one thing the sector was historically missing.
Yeah.
Soul?
That's a good word for it. Used to be so functional. Here is your key. See you in 30 days.
And now it's, here's your key, and by the way, join us for a dumpling workshop on Tuesday.
It reflects a broader shift, doesn't it? Work isn't just something we do in an office anymore. And Move and Stay has been curating properties like this because they know professionals want a seamless transition, not just a booking.
Seamless transition. That's the goal.
So let's wrap this up. We've looked at the philosophy, the hardware, the map. What's the big takeaway? If someone's scrolling through moveandstay.com right now, planning their next stint in Asia, why should they care about Shama?
I think the takeaway is that you don't have to compromise anymore. The expansion of Shama, and especially the Shama Hub concept, it signals that the industry finally understands that extended stay doesn't have to mean extended isolation.
Right.
Whether you're in Hong Kong, Hangzhou, or soon Malaysia, you can find a place that offers the consistency of a hotel, the space of an apartment, and crucially, a built-in social network.
Which, for the Move and Stay user, means you hit the ground running. You're not spending the first month just trying to figure out where to get a coffee or meet a human being.
Precisely. It turns relocation into instant integration.
I love that. But here's a thought I want to leave you with. It's something I was thinking about while reading about this growing network of properties.
Go on.
We're seeing brands like Shama creating these standardized, high-quality, community-driven living spaces across multiple countries. As the lines between living, working, and traveling blur completely, are we moving toward a future where we don't have leases at all?
That is the provocative question.
I mean, imagine a subscription model, like Netflix for housing.
Yeah.
You pay a monthly fee to a brand like Shama, and you can live in Hong Kong for 3 months, then just swipe your card and move to Bangkok for 2, then Hangzhou for 1.
If the hardware is consistent and the community is portable, so you know there's a social club wherever you land, do you really need a permanent address, or do you just need a membership?
That is both terrifying and incredibly appealing. It basically makes the world your campus.
It might be closer than we think, The infrastructure is being built as we speak.
Well, on that note, we'll let you ponder your future as a subscription-based global citizen. A big thanks to the insights from moveandstay.com for fueling this discussion. If you need to find that sweet spot for your next trip, you know where to look.
Safe travels, everyone.
See you on the next deep dive.